Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. In today's video, I'm going to be covering some shelving units for my garage because as I get more and more electric scooters, e-bikes, and other personal electric vehicles, I found that I am quickly running out of space and I need to do an even better job of freeing up space so that I have more room for these things. As you can see, we've got our scooters here, we've got some e-bikes, we've got an electric skateboard, we've got an electric unicycle, and up here we've got more scooters, and so I am quickly running out of space in here. And if you've watched some of my previous content, you'll know that I actually covered one of Reibee's larger shelving units, so shout out to them for sending that over to review, because I'll tell you what, this thing has helped me tremendously in freeing up space for all of these wonderful gadgets. Now, in today's video, we're going to be covering one of these smaller shelving units that they offer. This one that I previously covered is 84 inches tall, it's 55 inches wide and 26 inches deep. With this particular unit, it's actually 72 inches tall, 35 and a half inches wide, and 16 inches deep. So really appropriate for some of those smaller spaces. Another big difference between this unit and this one here is that this one here has got wire shelving, whereas this one here has got a solid surface shelving. And so why would you go with something with wire shelving? Well, one, it's generally less expensive than a solid surface shelving. Two, it's a little more airy, so if airflow is important, having something that can breathe like this versus a solid shelving could be helpful. Another thing with this is that it's generally lighter weight than the solid surface shelving, so if you find yourself needing to move these things around, it's going to be a lot easier to do so. Now, both of these shelving units are made 100% from steel, so what that's going to mean for you is that if you need to attach anything magnetic, you can absolutely do that on both the larger unit as well as the smaller unit. So huge plus there. These solid shelves here as well are magnetic, so you don't have to worry about like aluminum surfacing or anything like that. It's all 100% steel. Now, when it comes to assembling these shelving units, it's actually really easy. You don't have to worry about any kind of bolts or screws or advanced tooling or anything like that, because these things go together with friction fit. So Reibii actually does a great job of including all of the tools that you need to get this thing built, which is as simple as some fabric gloves to prevent you from scratching yourself on any sharp edges. Also includes rubber mallet, as well as all the joiners for the legs and the feet for the legs and the top, so that you have some protection when sliding these things around, let's say, your garage, for getting in the right position. In terms of the time commitment required to build one of these, this smaller 72-inch shelving unit was actually able to get built within 30 minutes. They include a very detailed instruction manual, so if you're assembling one of these things for the first time, I would definitely read that, because it'll help you, prevent making mistakes and having to disassemble the thing. So once you get a hang of it, it's actually really easy to build. And the same is true for the 84-inch version. The only difference is that you've got one extra level of shelving and bigger pieces, so it's going to need a little more room to get that thing built. But other than that, assembly is exactly the same. Now, in terms of load capacity, the 72-inch version here will support up to 2,000 pounds, so that's about 400 pounds per level on that shelving unit. The larger 84-inch version with the solid shelving will support up to 3,500 pounds, so definitely more intended for those heavy-duty use cases. Now, one thing that I think is really important to call out is that the supports and legs for this 72-inch and 84-inch version of the Reibii shelving is double layered steel. That's really important because double layered steel means that it's going to be more rigid and have a higher carrying capacity. With my hardware store purchased shelving unit, it's a single layer of steel, which means it's not going to be as rigid. It's also not going to have the carrying capacity of its double layered steel counterparts. So keep that in mind when you're shopping for any kind of shelving units. Now, one thing that I really like about both the 72-inch and 84-inch shelving units is that they can, be built vertically like this. You can also split these into two different shelving units or workbenches, and you can see that here. This is where the actual two levels join. You can see the same thing here where the two levels join. You have the option to split these. So instead of having in here two shelves, you can actually have 4 shelving units, albeit, smaller units because they're not vertically stacked. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can absolutely do that. They actually include more than enough rubber plastic stoppers for the bottoms and the tops so that you can either go with the single shelving configuration or the dual shelving configuration. Now, if you're curious about the storage totes that I'm using, for the most part, they are 17-gallon totes. I do have a 12-gallon there in the mix, but the 84-inch actually holds the 17-gallon totes, 3 in a row, no problem at all whatsoever. In terms of the 72-inch version, I'm actually, not using as many totes, but I've got a couple 5-gallon totes here that I'm using to store some of the chargers for all of these scooters and e-bikes because they're all over the place, and I finally got to labeling those things, so it's very easy for me now to determine which charger is suited for which scooter or e-bike. So all that to say, I am very excited about these shelving units because it's helping me free up a lot of clutter. I'll include some before and after pictures in here of what my garage looked like before all this organization, but this is going to allow me to accept more scooters and e-bikes. In fact, I've got a couple scooters, an e-bike, as well as an additional electric skateboard that I'll be doing reviews on here shortly, as well as some follow-up reviews on some of these other items. So if you're interested in getting some heavy-duty shelving for your garage to declutter and free up space for yourself, definitely take a look at the links in the description below. Reibee's got some really good promotions going on right now, and I'll also include some sweet promo codes that'll help get those already low prices even lower. And let me know if you have any questions. Happy to answer any of them. And as always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.